Welcome to the April episode of Digging Up Positivity. Spring is in the air and summer is just around the corner. In this episode we cover the April charities from the furry fandom, even crocodiles need to go to the dentist, animation news, and a wonderful interview with one of the main forces behind Entro Irish, and much more. And oh hey, I'm also happy to say that we're giving out an item from my paws collection from my artwork tea store. For more details, stick around till the end of the video. Almita Otter, known for her adorable art, was gathering funds for the turtle camp, making sure that the Camp Ridley sea turtles have their eggs hatched during season. To ensure the eggs are safe, coolers were needed, and with $90 raised, this has become a reality. The 2,141 wonderful visitors from the Las Vegas Furcon have raised $10,164 for Trans Pride. And this is before the con store profits, so there's bound to be an update later down the line. During last Nordic Fuscon, Mirfel had a terrible encounter that rendered her fursuit head unusable in a way that was just horrible. However, within 48 hours, the goal was reached. Seriously, the response was amazing. We did stop the GoFundMe after $2,646.10 was raised. Wow, the generosity. The wonderfully diverse team of the Cult of Blahaj has raised $6,435 for Trans Lifeline during their April Showers charity. 1,929 lovely critters raised $10,000 for Forever Wild at the Golden State Furcon. Forever Wild is a wild exotic animal sanctuary dedicated to preserving the lives of abused, neglected and abandoned exotic animals. In the US state of Michigan, the lovely furs from Motor City Furcon have raised $24,000 for the Pipsqueakery, a rescue sanctuary for all small animals, no matter what their needs may be. Every year, I'm still amazed at how Team DogBomb just trucks on for ALS. This year they are raising funds once more for ALS United, North Carolina. Our fuzzy friends raised $8,886 for this noble cause. But besides DogBomb and other amazing names like Papa Barks, Puffin Aardwolf was working hard to raise for ALS as well. In their last stream they raised a whopping $1,000 for the fight against ALS. And in Spring Camp Woodflock, the lovely visitors have raised $2,433 for Exotic Pet Wonderland, who are providing a lovely home for captive-born wildlife and difficult exotic pets who have no other place to go. And in Taiwan, a little over 1,000 guests have raised $3,686.53 during the Furry Tea Party for the Taiwan Guide Dog Association. There is a lot of news regarding our favorite blue ring addicted Hedgehog. In the third installment of the movie, Shadow the Hedgehog, or Hedgehog if you will return and be voiced by no other than Keanu Reeves. The success of the first two movies did inspire the studio behind it to announce a spin-off revolving Kunckles, who is voiced by the ever so awesome Idris Elba. Yes, the bull from Zootopia.
So let it go.
And the gutsy announcement that they want to make a Sonic cinematic universe. Although every studio under the sun has tried to do so and few have succeeded, but hey, you know, time will tell. But in the meanwhile, we're looking forward to see Keanu Reeves in Sonic 3.
Keanu! You are a national treasure.
Time flies and fruit flies like a banana. Did you know the bad guys is already 2 years old. Notable for their unique style and animation, the bad guys was a surefire hit. And yes, it is furry bait, catching the hearts and minds of many, me included. And it was a matter of time before part 2 was announced. According to sources, the movie will be about them struggling to find trust and acceptance in their new lives as the good guys, and are pulled out of retirement to do one last job. Pierre Perivelle returns as a director, making me look forward to see the same animation style return in cinemas at August the 1st, 2025. The Fallout series have been making some serious waves, and it is definitely worth a watch. While especially the older fans of the show might have something to say about the details of the lore, it certainly has captured the vibe. A brony, known as K-Cat, has written a crossover entitled Fallout Equestria, which was quite known throughout the brony community, and this 5-volume series spawned a pen and paper tabletop version, which I enjoyed playing quite a lot. And what originally started out as a mod for Fallout 3 is now a standalone game, Ashes of Equestria, being developed by Overmare Studios. While it looks like the development is on hold, their Twitter account does show some signs of life, and maybe the recent surge in popularity of the whole series and franchise might breathe some fresh air into the project. Other fans of Fallout have been busy too, like this amazing Lego version of a vault with 20 rooms, where in every room there's something going on. They even included a piece of the surface. VPLO Studios made a lovely video about it, showcasing how they have built it, including all the fun little Easter eggs. Going to the dentist is not a fun experience, especially when you know they will have to do a procedure, even if you know that they will solve that dreadful pain. But what if you're a half-ton, almost 5 meter or 16 foot crocodile? Well, in the Australian reptile park they know how to handle you, even though it almost went wrong. Elvis, their absolute unit of a crocodile, was not having it, not one bit, but in the end the dentist and their team managed to help the big fellow. The troublesome tooth got extracted and our big fellow got a clean bill of health. This month, with Digging Up Positivity, we have a very special guest from Ireland. One of the main people behind Entro Irish, the very first Irish furry convention. Ink, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's completely likewise. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, hello, I'm Ink. I've been in the fandom for nearly 10 years now at this point. I am a fursuiter sometimes when I get around to doing it. I used to be a podcaster. I used to be the host of Furry Trash Pod, which ran for 2.5 years from January 2020 to April 22, which means actually this week is the 2-year anniversary since the show finished, which is a bit mad. Oh my god. And yeah, I'm involved in events here in Ireland. I go to events. I've been staff at events in the UK and Ireland. I've been from fur meets and conventions and everything in between. So yeah, that's what I do in the fandom.
You really have been around in the United Kingdom furry fandom, so to speak. I've heard about your name quite a lot, but how did you get to know of the fandom?
So I guess when you think about it, my aunt is really to blame. And my aunt got me into Pokemon when I was very, very small. And she bought me a DS and I was like 2011, 2012-ish. And I loved Eevee and Purloin. And I remember like making like little sketches of characters and Ink was born really. but I didn't know what a furry was, right? And then there's this magical thing called the internet. I got access to the internet, and as they say, the rest is history. But being involved in fandom, I kind of always landmark as 2018 being the year I, quote, became a furry. Because that's the year I got my fursuit. But I am also a big believer of you do not need to have a fursuit to be a furry. But 2018 was the year I got involved in fandom, because that was the year I started going to fur meets. I started getting involved in local events, like local fur events, and ones that were hosted at like major conventions like Dublin Comic Con and JCon, and KazokaCon, etc, etc, etc. But that's kind of it really. The legs kind of grew from there. In 2019, I went to a convention called JCon, which was held in, I believe, the Croc Park here in Dublin. And that was the first time that I properly kind of got friendly with Irish furries here. Like, there's a furry I'm friends with called Mike. We've been friends ever since that day. And yeah, that's kind of it. I don't know why, but I've gone like blank all of a sudden. But yeah, I do enjoy this fandom and being involved in it.
That is wonderful, because you've been like everywhere in the United Kingdom regarding to that. So I have to ask, of all those things you've done in those 10 years, what has been your favorite moment?
Oh gosh, that is very hard to answer. So
there can be
if I can
more.
be cheeky. I was going to ask if I can be cheeky and give you two, because they're kind of sisters, really, if that's okay.
Oh, that's fine. Go ahead.
So, as I mentioned, I used to host a podcast called Furry Trash Pod, and I spoke to many, many, many wonderful guests over the years from all over the world, including actually Tableau Casey Explosions. I interviewed Casey in July 21, so we've got that in common. But I guess really the two standouts, I refuse to say favorites because I don't have favorites, but if I had to pick two standout interviews, it would have to be Uncle Kage and I Know Telephone. And like, for me to interview Telephone, just I still, like, to this day can't comprehend it. I just, no. 404 ink not found. Like, she was so wonderful to interview and just to talk to. Yeah, I'm even getting starstruck just thinking about it, not gonna lie, which leads me to Kage. Uncle Kage was someone who had been suggested to me since I started the show, and I always like look at him and go, nah, he's too cool, man, like, nah. You know, quite frankly a little bit scared of him, not gonna lie, because I am quite an anxious person at heart. But chatting with him was so fun, and we got to discuss, you know, Anthrocon in the States. And here's a weird fact for you. So when we were interviewing for the first time, we did it through Zoom, and we did the full 40 minutes on Zoom. And then I realized in a absolute dramatic moment that I hadn't actually been recording. And I nearly cried. So I had to very sheepishly ask Kage if we could record again. And to be fair to him, to give credit where credit is due, he did do it. And not only that, he also recorded on his end, just to be sure. And then I had the pleasure of meeting him last year at Confuzzled, in the convention in Birmingham, and I just got like starstruck and tongue-tied, and I couldn't speak. And I have his email, and you know, the night before Confuzzled, or the first morning of the was, I can't specifically remember, it was very early on at the con. I emailed him to be like, hi, because I really wanted to meet him, and he didn't reply. So I thought, right, he's too cool, or he's got his, you know, email turned off, or changed email or whatever. And the following morning he rocked up to ConOps asking for me, and I was just floored, like, I couldn't comprehend it. So I guess those two kind of tied together, really. But I guess the wild card with the show was that I interviewed Nessie, who was the creator of DashCon. So that's kind of my weird claim to fame right there, baby, outside of the fandom. Whenever I get asked, like, you know, what's my cool claim to fame, or what's my weird story, I can say that I've interviewed the creator of DashCon. So there you go.
Well, that is just wow. But with all that experience that you have and those wonderful guests that you had on your podcast, Do you have any recommendations for people that just got into the fandom?
Well, first of all, leave while you can. I'm pulling your leg out this one now, but I guess my recommendation, like hashtag not a doctor, would be don't be afraid to try it out. People are people, man. You know, when I would go to conventions, I'd host panels called the Power Podcasting, and I would talk about how anxious and intimidated I was by other people, because people, ew, right? People, oh my god. But you know, not to be afraid of trying things out and talking to people, because you never know what could happen.
Indeed. Never be afraid on talking to new people, especially on conventions and such.
Exactly, and I found as well the small talk, like if you don't know what to say, I'm also a big fan of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, which from Bambi. But if you don't know where to start, I find small talk usually works. Like if you see someone in a fursuit, for argument's sake, you can say that, you know, you like their glasses, or they have a very unique species, or, you know, stuff like that. But, or even if someone's out of suit, because like again, I'm a big fan of you do not need a fursuit to be a furry. Yeah. You know, if they're wearing a badge with a persona on it, you can be like, oh, I love your persona's purple hair, you know, whatever. And you just get talking, man. You just get chatting.
Yeah, that's the wonderful world of idle talk. Just find a common ground, and it all goes fine from there. But also on conventions, I find it always enlightening that I see a lady like you running a convention like that, because often what I see is that well, the male section of the furry fandom is quite big, but when it comes down to organizing and also walking around on the dealer tent, for example, suddenly you see ladies everywhere, and that was very nice to see.
I mean, it's very refreshing to see a lot more females in the fandom get more space, I suppose is the way to word it, from across the board, you know, like you mentioned, in respect of dealers' dens and artist alley spaces. And I've noticed a trend recently at conventions, and just in general public life as well, like destigmatizing periods, which is really nice to see. Like at events that I've been to, both human and furry, there's been free sanitary products in all bathrooms. Not all bathrooms that I've been to, but like, you know, if they're having them on site, they will be available, or some sort of access route to purchase them freely, because period poverty is a real thing. And I've noticed that a lot of spaces in the fandom can be very male dominated. And having spaces like the female furs panel, for argument's sake, that usually occurs every year at a convention, or every now and then at some spaces I've been to, and having that space available for people, I've heard is refreshing. I don't personally tend to myself, but I've heard people that do go find them quite inclusive and very refreshing, which is really nice to see. And I guess, like, in connection with that as well, I've seen a lot more disabled people in the fandom come out and taking the space that they require in this fandom, and they don't feel left out and they don't feel lost. I've been to a few different events, which I'm not going to name names of, but they have quiet rooms, and I've seen on like convention timetables about disabled furries in the fandom and finding inclusivity in this fandom, because unfortunately we do live in an ableist society, an ableist world. And that's why I'm always very keen for people who feel that they may be isolated in this fandom one way or the other to take the space that they deserve, essentially. So yeah, I would be only delighted to see more women in the fandom and more ladies in the fandom getting involved in media and interviews and talking about their experiences. You know what? I think I have an idea for this. Well, actually, you came up with that idea. That sounds dangerous. Oh, yes. What that we do a string of short interviews. We pick various people, you and I, because we all know wonderful women in the fandom. We're going to devote a large part of the next Digging Up Positivity for those, to show to the other ladies in the fandom that they're not alone.
including the disabled, including, let's say, the other groups that people often overlook. What do you think of that?
My question to you is, where do I sign?
Excellent. That's a deal for you. Thank you very much for attending the show, and see you next month.
I'll see you shortly.
A big thank you for staying with us till the very end. You're all awesome beans. And speaking of beans, if you want an item from the Paws collection in my artwork tea-store, by all means do say so in the comments. I will pick a winner next episode from that very comment section. Maybe if you want one of those lovely phone cases, or if you want to look good in the tank top or a t-shirt, let us know. Of course, if you want to support the channel, besides liking and subscribing, you can also toss a coin to your meerkat like the following amazing people. From Subscribestar we have Manic, Cosmic with a K, Tyros, Hanzana and Squirt Chaser. We have our YouTube members, Lorek Berningson 086, Whiffer and Longtooth, and of course we have our Patreon members, Tantru McNally, Ishnula, Els Deckers, and of course our Twitch subscribers who watch me pretty much every week drawing along. Rookie Icy Meerkat, Xrogs, Pitchaboo, Kite VR, Ref Jackalope, Yannick Slota, Hanzana Janssen, Dazar Kano, Mef Brew, Light Nympha, Jake R, Voltrot, Ranex Vorax, Valconeo, Tratron the Dragon, Rudy528, Droan the Starbear, Yabuyin, and Specs the Mischievous Fox. The next episode of Digging Up Positivity will be on May 25th, and of course I will try to be around every Monday from 8 till 10 PM Central European Time on Twitch with a mirror stream here on YouTube. See you around, all the hugs, and stay awesome.